Yes. Welcome to College Football Saturday. We have finally made it after a week zero, some Thursday night games. It is an actual College Football Saturday. Lance Taylor is here. Jim Dunaway will join in a moment. I'm Ryan Brown. This is Johnston RV College Football Preview, also presented by Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Good morning, LT. How are you?
I'm good, man. Up late watching the end of that Stanford TCU game, but nice to have college football on a Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. Stanford TCU, by the way, did go late into the night. Now, I know one of your big plays over there at Lance's Lock was Temple in Oklahoma. You had Oklahoma. I don't know if they were laying 48. They were that was a tough one if they were, but 51-3, a blowout win over Temple.
Well, it was about 40 and a half, and it kind of jumped up to 42 and a half at kick last night. So we were able to get home with that. But I'll tell you, man, I don't know how often you can win 51-3, and I just didn't think Oklahoma looked that great. I thought Oklahoma's got some problems on the offensive line. They benefited by the fact that Temple was just playing out awful. I mean, 6 turnovers. I thought Jackson Arnold was good when he had protection, but I don't know. I think that offensive line is a little shaky.
I don't know. I know you and I were at the same place for dinner last night at different times, so I don't think you heard this in the broadcast, but I know you probably are aware of it as you were breaking that game down. Temple was minus 20 in turnovers last year. I don't know what the record is, but I can't remember hearing anybody ever be minus 20 in turnovers.
Well, to put in perspective on the other side of that, one of the reasons, as bad as that defense was for USC 2 years ago and last year, when they won 11 games, got to a Pac-12 championship game, they were plus 20.
Yeah.
And so when you really looked at that, you were like, well, this is how you get to 10 wins and not being that good on defense. If you're minus 20, that's how you get to 10 losses.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick before Dunaway joins us, you mentioned Oklahoma didn't look as good as you thought they might. We've talked a lot about Jackson Arnold in the offseason and the fact that Dylan Gabriel is now off to Oregon and is going to be starting at Oregon, and they really like Jackson Arnold. 17-25, that's not bad. 141 yards, though, only 5.6 yards per attempt there. That is not good at all, but he did throw for 4 touchdowns and no picks. That's the positive, but overall, I think I kind of expected more out of Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, I kind of did too. I mean, you're right. The numbers aren't bad. You win by 48, and we're dissecting this. I mean, the problem is going to be when Oklahoma gets to the meat of the schedule, and we've talked about it before. If Florida has the most difficult schedule in college football, Oklahoma probably has the second most difficult. So it's not going to get any easier for the Sooners. I think you identified a receiver in Deion Burks. I think that's good for Jackson Arnold. But yeah, I just wasn't blown away. And, I thought it was, and I think Brent Venables probably would take this, but, coming off the 6 turnovers in the bowl game, you just wanted Jackson Arnold to have a really, really positive day against a really bad defense. So the numbers were there. The offensive line, I'm telling you, Brown, they scare me.
Yeah, especially against what will be a much more difficult schedule than Temple.
Yeah, I mean, 3 sacks for Temple, 5 tackles for loss last night. And again, they were minus 6 in turnovers.
All right, Dunaway has joined us.
We were fortunate to cover that.
Oh, yeah. Dunaway has joined us now. Jim Dunaway on the Johnston RV College Football Preview, also presented by Champy's. You brought this up on the show, Dunaway, that Michigan State's quarterback last night said, hey, listen, we talk about this game. Take the over, man. There's going to be some scoring in this game. 16-10. In fact, they were fortunate Dunaway to win the game, much less to get an over.
First, I apologize. Technical difficulties. I hope you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, everything's good. Okay. Yeah, that was one boring game, and I watched all of it because I took his advice. I played the over at MyBookie.ag. I was like, the quarterback knows, and I played that thing, and it. So I am 0 for everything to start the year there. So not a good day for Georgia if that holds up, because I like them a lot today. But that was that kid. He struggled. Had some open receivers throughout the night. I thought Tom Herman did a good job of getting a lesser than team ready to go on the road to Michigan State. I'm worried about that Michigan State team when they get to the Big Ten.
Lance, also in the Big Ten, Wisconsin late last night over your doppelganger, not doppelganger.
Yeah, my brother from another mother.
The other Lance Taylor. He coached him up. I mean, that was a tight game late. 28-14 Wisconsin wins, but Lance Taylor had his team right in it late in the second half.
Well, when we were down under the 10-minute mark, it's 14-13 Western Michigan. And I don't know if you guys saw the punt return.
Yep.
Or the snafu. I mean, that completely deflated them because then Wisconsin goes down, not only gets the touchdown, gets 2-point conversion, goes up 7. And then there was another turnover. So there was kind of a flurry. That score was very misleading. Western Michigan was right there with them. This Phil Longo offense just, I don't know if it's going to work. You know, Tanner Mordecai last year didn't work. Doesn't look really good with Tyler Van Dyke. They did get the win, but I think Western Michigan's going to be a tough out in the MAC. I think Lance Taylor. God, it's so weird to say that because I'm not talking in
third person.
No, I think Lance Taylor is going to be one of these rising stars. He looks the part on the sideline, does he not?
Yeah. No, I've been saying that for years that Lance Taylor's got a brilliant mind. Lance Taylor's intelligent,
Yep.
A good-looking guy. He's going to have a great career. Just never been talking football before, so yeah. I thought that was it's. I know this is bad, but I think that was really bad for Alabama. I think that took a little edge off that game just by people watching that LT and thinking to themselves, "Oh my goodness, Western Michigan can win that game. Alabama's going to boat race them."
Well, Western Michigan was bringing in some jumbo packages and they were pushing them around in goal line situations. And then on the other side, Van Dyke was under duress, and one of their best defenders got ejected early for a targeting. I mean, if that Wisconsin team, I have Bama sight unseen, and we'll see tonight against Western Kentucky. But if Wisconsin plays like that against Alabama and Madison, I don't know, 28-point game.
Yeah. And didn't run the ball great. I don't know, Dunaway, what you needed Ches Malusi to do, but I'm going to assume it's carrying for more than 74 yards. I don't know what that number was.
You want to know what it was?
Yeah.
74.5.
No, it was not.
No, it was. It was.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Hey, you're on a heater.
I'm on a heater. I'm telling you. It could be a historic season. That's all I'm going to say. 74.5. So I was watching that game too.
Yes. I'll tell you, man, last night it's been, and these have been, ratty cards when you go back to week 0 and Thursday night, Friday night. But man, these games, especially if you've got a little action on them, they've come down to it because, we ended up going 3-0 at Lance's Lock, but we stayed up for TCU Stanford and they started to trade field goals. And I was like, that's the quickest way to get to an under is trading field goals. But then you got a little flurry late. TCU is going to be about what they were last year. I don't know how you guys feel about them. I think they're probably a 5-7 team. But Stanford's improved. I think Troy Taylor, for whatever that's worth, I think they will end up beating a team in the ACC, probably the very average ACC. I know knee-jerk reaction. But I think Troy Taylor in year 2 has got that team at least looking like – this was a team that had lost 9 consecutive games at home and had not covered 9 consecutive home games. I thought they were competitive last night.
All right, let's move ahead to today's action. A reminder, JohnstonRVCenter.com, JohnstonRVCenter.com. That's who brings you the show. They've got that end of the season pricing for today. I can't promise it into September. I know it's good through August, though, so you can get out there today. Travel trailers, new and pre-owned, starting as low as $14,995. Fifth wheels starting at just $379 a month. RV warranty forever. Make sure you got that lifetime warranty on everything new and previously owned that qualifies. They're at Johnston RV Center. They also love the military the way we do on this show is a very, very, very small way of saying thank you. They give you a great discount. If you're active duty or one of our veterans, thank you for that. And Johnston RV says thank you as well. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator, JohnstonRVCenter.com. All the lines we're going to talk about are from MyBookie.ag. Don't forget code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag, and they will double that initial deposit. And let's get started with that. The big noon kick. Lance, I've seen it creep down again. 7.5 this morning is what Penn State is favored now on the road at West Virginia. That number has just slowly dropped over the summer.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's people watching the crowd with maybe McAfee, if people are watching, the Fox pregame. But yeah, I saw the number creeping down last night and doesn't make a lot of sense. I do think the number was somewhat inflated based on the history of these two and the fact that West Virginia 2-6 are last 8 against the number against Big Ten teams. And Penn State is a covering machine as long as they're not playing Michigan and Ohio State. 15-4-1 against the number their last 20 out. I am surprised it is dropping like this. I thought about flipping around and playing Penn State. I didn't play this game. Again, if it was at night, I would feel completely different about it. I stayed away. I've got a couple of guys I know that did play Penn State because they feel like there's a lot of public money coming in right now on West Virginia. I don't know. I'd love to see West Virginia win the game, but I got no dog in the hunt.
Oh, I'll be cheering for West Virginia just for the atmosphere and the scene, because Penn State's won 5 straight in that series, and there's some hate and that border rivalry there. They don't always play each other. When they do, it's meaningful. But I think Penn State's running game, and I think Penn State's run defense is where they win this game. Penn State's run defense, one of the best in the country last year. They got a lot of people back. I think they'll be really good again. And I think Garrett Green's great, but the best way for West Virginia to win this football game is running the football. That's their calling card, and they're going against the best one of the best in the business at that. An advantage Penn State. Not that my thoughts mean anything, but I like the under in this one too.
All right.
Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, backs we saw with the home and home against Auburn. This will be their final year. Really, really good backs though, and I want to see Drew Aller go up top. He had really good numbers in this game last year. I think people still question whether or not he's going to be an elite quarterback.
You mean like Volfan 205 right there?
Yeah.
Drew Aller is not good.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that because I don't think you've really had a deep threat with that guy. And his numbers last year weren't bad. I mean, they won 10 games. He only turned it over 3 times. Julian Fleming comes in from Ohio State. We'll see if he is a big play guy. I think this Penn State team is going to be pretty good, though. I mean, 15-3 straight up their last 18 games.
But my favorite receiver for them is playing for the Auburn Tigers, DeAndre Lambert-Smith. He left and came to Auburn. I really liked what he brought to the table. And it's the offensive scheme. We'll see if they change it, but too many short passes to play the big boys like Michigan and Ohio State. So we'll see. Against West Virginia, it can be effective. I think it comes down to the run game.
All right, Dunaway, you've already mentioned you got to play on this game. Clemson and Georgia, breaking news this morning on this game. We wondered why the number might be dropping a little bit yesterday. Lance said, it's got to mean that Trevor Etienne is out. In fact, now all reports are that Trevor Etienne will not play in this game. So Georgia's going to be a little thin at running back. Depending on where you look, MyBookie.ag has been around 11.5, 12. Georgia favored in this game. Total of 48.5, 11 a.m. ABC from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Based on ACC performance, Jim, I think you've kind of liked Georgia in this one.
Yeah, that's why I flipped it, because I'm just wondering about the ACC. But Etienne's a big loss because they've got the turf toe injury to another big player. But usually Georgia's going to have some running backs. But it comes down to the trenches in this game. Clemson's really good on the defensive line. Georgia's great on the offensive line. Flip it around. And if Clemson wins the game, that may be where the advantage is I don't know what Georgia, you just expect them to have another great defensive line. I don't know if they're as good as they've been the last 2 or 3 years. We'll see. I like Maffa a lot. Shipley's gone, but I like Maffa. I thought sometimes he got overlooked because of how good the other guy was. Maffa can be a very productive running back. You got to be physical to beat Georgia. You got to get in the phone booth with them and beat them. And Dabo's been really quiet leading into this game by Dabo's standards, right? By Dabo's standards, he's been really quiet, which tells me he thinks he has a pretty good chance to win this football game. It should be a great one. Love these 2 11 o'clock games. I'm going to go with Georgia. I'm going to go with Georgia to cover, but Mercedes-Benz Stadium has been a house of horrors for that Georgia Bulldog team.
Well, both these teams bad against the number. Clemson 6-7 against the number last year. Georgia 6-8. You mentioned the guy with the turf toe, Roderick Robinson, and you lose Edwards and Milton off that team last year. Your 2 top rushers, and Etienne was going to be that guy, but Robinson was going to be right there with him, and so now you really don't have any depth. You don't have any experience in the backfield, and this Clemson defense is going to be legitimate. I stayed away from the game. If I did play it, I would take the points in this situation.
It is an early game. Well, I wasn't planning on talking about it, but for gambling purposes at MyBookie.ag, I would have to go look at the line. I didn't even write it down, but there's now 2 Iowa receivers. They barely throw the ball. So I guess these guys, it just hurts your run blocking, right? Iowa wide receiver Seth Anderson is out. So they got 2 wide receivers out in that Iowa-Illinois State game. It's early on Big Ten Network. Don't know if that impacts anybody's thoughts today.
Well, I didn't know if we were going to play those yesterday. I almost took Illinois State before that news even broke with the points. I don't know what it is points wise.
Are you basically just spraying the board? Are you playing?
Yes.
No, I'm just saying I had seen some people talking the stuff I read on a weekly and daily basis, talking about how Illinois State could keep it within the number
22 and a half.
because of just Iowa's ineptitude offensively. So
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting game. Now you're telling me you're losing more players. What does he say? 22? Is that what the line is?
Yep, 22 and a half.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a big number if you can't score a lot of points.
For Iowa's, Illinois State will not score. Now, whether or not this Iowa defense under Tim Lester now calling the plays and Cade McNamara is, a quarterback that finally gets cleared, I think the offense is going to be much better. I think Iowa's going to be pretty good this year. So I don't think this really matters. This is one of those limited games that you can bet on anyway. It's probably capped out at $500 to $1,000 just because it is FCS versus FBS.
Oh, it's only capped out at 1,500.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Stay away,
that's
Dunaway.
all. I mean, my $5 bets, no good here. Thank you.
Hey, did you guys get it on DraftKings? I see Lunsford saying he sent them out.
Oh, I didn't. I will right after we're done. I didn't know it's been forever since I've done DraftKings.
Yeah, I enjoy the Saturday DraftKings more than Sunday now.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Ballfan205
reading ahead in the script. He's asking for thoughts on Vandy plus 13.5. Lance, you have a play on this at lanceslock.com, so you'll be a little more general here, but you've liked Virginia Tech all summer. They're a 13.5-point favorite, total of 48.5 in the Music City this morning, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, Brent Pry really did a good job of pulling it out of the ditch for the second half of last year, and they've got a ton of production coming back. I do expect, Clark Lee hasn't won an SEC game since 2021, which you guys helped me out. I would assume he hasn't beaten an FBS or at least a Power 4 since 2021, if I'm just guessing. But this number is 13.5. The number's about right, but I do have a side. It's my only 11 o'clock game. You guys know I'm very bullish on 11 o'clock games, but I am playing this one at lanceslock.com.
Yeah, I'm not playing it at Jim losing games all the time.com.
I did see those. Pick 3 had Virginia Tech, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I picked Virginia Tech in our pick 3, so I do like them to cover the game. Clark Lee's going to slow it down. He's a defensive mind. It's going to be, as it always is, 50-50 on the crowd. As many Virginia Tech fans that wants to buy tickets can buy tickets for this one. Tough game to pick. I went with Virginia Tech, though. I'm just going to play power.
All right, let's go on to Chattanooga and Tennessee. Look, it's going to be a blowout. I get it. 38.5 is what Tennessee's favorite. Total of 58.5. 11:45 SEC Network kick. Dunaway, the only thing I want to see is Nico. I have seen a how do you say it? Let's do Nico's last name, everyone. Dunaway, okay. You go first. You say it how?
Me?
Yep.
I'm going to go Yamalieva.
Yep, that is correct. Lance, you don't even have to participate.
Yamalieva.
Yamalieva. Yeah, Yamalieva. That's what will get me on this game. I just want to see the kid play.
Yeah,
that may be the biggest upset of the day is that I got that right.
I know, right out of the
without notes in front of me.
Yeah. That's the only reason to watch this game, and I think he's going to come out and completely dominate. And I think the other question is, does Josh Heupel have a plan to I don't know who the backup is right now. Do you guys know?
Nope.
But how much do we see Nico?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to see him a little bit, and I'll just sample it to see if we get any of him.
Well, I think Chattanooga's check me on this, everyone at home, but I think they're back-to-back OVC conference champions, so they're not a horrible FCS team.
No, T.O. ain't walking out of that locker room. I am interested to see because, we talk about Alabama's secondary. Now, James Pierce, you can make an argument, one of the top 3 players in college football. But Tennessee secondary has more question marks than Alabama's.
So you'll see that 11:45. That's the new SEC Network start time. That's the old JP game that is now the SEC Network game, and they are now kicking it at 11:45. Last year that was 11:30. Is that right?
No, it was 11 o'clock straight up with the
others. 11. So now we're 11:45 SEC Network. So
I don't like it.
Okay. Why do you not like it? Just one less 11 o'clock game?
Well, I like everyone. All of them start at 11. All of them start at 2:30. All of them start at 6 or 6:30.
Right. Well, you're really going to hate
window at 9:30.
You're really going to hate this next one because it's a 1 o'clock kick. I mean, that fits nowhere. ESPN Plus, Lance, you've got to play on this one. South Dakota State at Oklahoma State. There at lanceslock.com. Oklahoma State, a 10-point favorite against an FCS team. This is a Big 12 contender. Oklahoma State's a Big 12 contender, only favored by 10 at home against South Dakota State, total of 54 in this game. It's streaming, ESPN Plus, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it shows you how good and how much respect you have for South Dakota State. Look, this number was already kind of set in stone before you saw North Dakota State give Colorado problems the other night. Now, Colorado and Oklahoma State, to me, are night and day teams. I think this Oklahoma State, if Alan Bowman can stay healthy, is going to be really, really, really good. Obviously, Ollie Gordon, I haven't checked the prop. Maybe you can check it real quick, Brown, at MyBookie.ag. They probably don't go this deep, but I would love to know the total carries if they had that prop for Ollie Gordon. Because we all heard Mike Gundy in Las Vegas, the Big 12 Media Day, saying, you know what his punishment is? Run the football 40 times.
Yeah, I will look for that. I mean, take me a minute to find that one.
Yeah, I don't know if they go that deep. I bet he does not carry it 30 times.
I would agree with you. Now, if this game comes down to it and it's a one-possession game, and look, we've seen Oklahoma State in the month of September lose a game to Central Michigan. We've seen them get run off the field last year against South Alabama. If I'm an Oklahoma State fan and I lose this game, I know Brown's not big on Gundy. I think he is overachieved there. But I just don't even know what to think because I think the Big 12 is going to be so improved. This is a game I don't understand why you schedule this game.
Yep.
It makes zero sense. If you want to schedule Illinois State, maybe that works, but you don't schedule South Dakota State.
Yeah. Well, winning's contagious, and they've won 29 straight. South Dakota State has. So it's been a while since they've lost a football game. Maybe they've forgotten how to lose. So that makes it scary for the Cowpokes.
I did not know that this had not already been set in stone, but just to back up one game real quick, Pete Thamel reporting this morning, and I was just now seeing it. He reported earlier that Diego Pavia, who is the New Mexico State transfer that Auburn fans remember very well, will start for Vandy in that game. I thought he had already won that job. I didn't know that this was a huge surprise.
Me too. He's 1-0 a career in SEC stadiums, at least, I think, right?
Yeah.
That is true. Probably falls to 1-1 today. All right, another game Lance has a play on there at lanceslight.com is Miami and Florida. Miami a 2.5-point favorite this morning, 54.5, 2:30 ABC game. It has been one of the most anticipated games of the summer, Lance, just because of the side stories to this game. First of all, it's a really good, historic rivalry. Miami and Florida have played a lot over the years. But secondly, what it can mean for Billy Napier and maybe even Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, and Billy Napier coming into this one 11-14, Cristobal not much better. I mean, the expectations from these fan bases, especially from Florida, is to win championships. And if you're a Florida fan, I mean, how frustrated are you? You haven't won a SEC championship since 2008. You mentioned these teams playing a lot. They played every year from 44 to 87. They've only played 7 times over the last 3.5 decades. How much better is Florida's defense going to be? We talk about Florida's offense, and it wasn't terrible last year. And Montrell Johnson has been cleared to play. The offense wasn't terrible because Graham Mertz was very effective, or at least efficient. The defense was absolute garbage. And I want to see the improvement on the defense because last year in this situation, Damian Martinez, who's transferred in from Oregon State, he would literally run the ball 25 times for 152 touchdowns and the game would be over. I mean, Florida could not stop a guy like that. So I want to see how improved they are on rush defense. If they're not, it's going to be a long, long day for the Gators.
Yeah. Much like for a while, and there was a period of time in your head when we were younger, Tennessee receivers looked a certain way and they got away from that. And they now look more like the way we remember old school Tennessee looking at receiver. Florida's defense, especially on the edge and in the corners and the secondary, used to have such great team speed. And they did not have that last year. And I'm with LT. I want to see that traditional Florida speed, both offensive and defense, come back. We'll see if they've got any improvement in team speed. They'll need it today to beat Miami. I like this game just because of the hate, Brownie. You got in both windows there, Penn State and West Virginia, and then Miami right there in that game with Florida in the swamp. That's 2 intense atmospheres where the underdogs, whether you're betting favorite or in your head, the underdogs are at home. And those 2 fan bases in both those games do not like each other. Those are 2 really fun week 1 games.
We got a couple more 2:30 games we'll discuss. A reminder, it is the JohnstonRVCenter.com Saturday preview. Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Their tailgate season pricing, it could end today. You need to take advantage of it if you're in the market right now. pre-owned and new travel trailers starting as low as $14,995. Fifth wheel starting as low as $379 a month. Right there at Johnston RV Center. RV warranty forever. Make sure you've got that lifetime warranty on anything new and qualifying used. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com. And also, Dunaway, your boy, our boy, Sterling. It's not just your boy. We all love Sterling. Down at Champy's, world famous fried chicken.
Yeah, champyschicken.com. Unbelievable for game days. You run down there and you get a to-go order. You can order it online or call ahead. Never get out of the car. Just swing through the to-go window, pick it up, head back to the house to watch a little football. Same way if you're going to Jordan Hare or Bryant Denny on your tailgate, you can do that as well. Champyschicken.com. Chicken brined overnight, cooked to order, and also the hand-cut chicken fingers. And don't forget the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales.
A couple of games that will be one-sided, but there might be just some interesting to dip in. Lance, I'll start with this one on Fox 230. I just want to see Dylan Raiola play. Now, Nebraska's a 27.5-point favorite over UTEP. 48.5 is the total. He'll be in primetime next week against Colorado on NBC, playing that Nebraska-Colorado game. I'm just interested. May just be first quarter viewing for me. I just want to see this kid play because we've heard so much about him.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him play. And if he's as good as advertised, this is a team that was 5-7 and so good on the defensive side of the ball, 15th nationally in total defense. And this is a kid that could win them an extra 2 or 3 games, and they got a pretty beneficial schedule. Do you guys remember the last true freshman starting quarterback for Nebraska?
Scott Frost?
It was not.
Last true freshman starting quarterback?
He's got, I'll give you a hint. He's got a championship ring with Skip Holtz and the Birmingham Stallions.
Oh, Taylor Martinez, team manager.
Adrian Martinez.
Adrian Martinez.
Wow.
They had Taylor Martinez too, but Adrian Martinez was the last true freshman. And this is a team 12-0 at Memorial Stadium versus non-conference teams in the month of August. They've never lost a situation like this. They're not going to lose this year. Scotty Waldron takes over at UTEP. 3-9 last year. They've got a quarterback competition, but I think both quarterbacks are probably going to be bad. I think, if Nebraska wants to name, I took a look at Nebraska minus 27.5. I couldn't do it.
Dunaway, the Texas Longhorns, a 34.5-point favorite over Colorado State, total of 60. It's 2:30 ESPN game. I don't know what you would watch. I mean, we've seen Quinn Ewers play. You'll see some Arch Manning in this game. Maybe that's interesting. Maybe seeing Isaiah Bond in that Texas uniform to see if he's a difference maker for them this year.
Yeah, I want to see where Nye Black, remember he's there too, and Isaiah lines up in the pecking order after they made the high-profile transfers. I mean, Lance, you're on the radio in Austin once a week. They rave about those two guys. So, are they two big options when the ones are out there? I want to see early on how that rotates. And I'd love to also see the discipline of Sark in this program. In a game like this where they should, big favorites, can they go out there and can they dot their I's and cross their T's and be a disciplined football team that it takes to win the national championship?
Yeah, I think if I played this game, I would grab some Colorado State. They were 3-1 against the number as a road dog last year. Texas 0-2 against the number as a 30-plus point favorite. One of those games was against Wyoming following the Alabama win in Tuscaloosa. They were really lethargic in that game. I just think Texas is trying to identify playmakers. And, maybe that equates to a 50-point win, but I kind of think Colorado State, they've got the dude with the hyphenated name that can sling it all over the place. And he will literally probably throw it 50 times today.
For what it's worth, Lee Corso made his picks on game day today and picked Texas to win the national championship. So for what it's worth, there's a Texas national championship pick from Lee Corso.
Yeah, for what
group
it's worth,
of 5
it took
games.
2 weeks for Nick Saban to drop the S word.
Yeah, I did
TV.
see it
Dropped
live.
shit out there pretty quick.
Oh, did he drop it?
Yes, he did. We have sent it out. Taylor sent it out from Next Round Live where Nick Saban, they were talking about the context of it, Lance, was, well, I haven't heard it. I have seen it, though. But the context of it is Ohio State's big money roster. And Nick Saban says, well, if you don't play the right guy, you're, out of luck. He's right. Can't say he's wrong, right?
Yep.
All right, let's go on to the 3 o'clock window. This is a group of 5 game that could have some playoff implications way down the road with Boise State. There are some that think that could be the group of 5 representative this year. They have a fairly tough road start here. They're a 13-point favorite, Lance, at Georgia Southern. 56.5 is the total. 3 o'clock ESPNU. Interesting game to go on the road to play Georgia Southern.
Yeah, so Boise State, I really thought Malachi Nelson would be their quarterback. And I was really surprised at what they did, coming in. Spencer Danielson, in his first full year as the head coach, is going to have redshirt sophomore. And I know we talked about this on the next round. Maddox Madsen is his starting quarterback. The good news is Ashton Genty is one of the best running backs, over 6 yards a carry. So I think they'll just be feeding him the football all day long.
Yeah, I think there's your problem, though. If they can't run the football, the guy they picked to win the game on the road gives Georgia Southern a chance. And you mentioned this, LT, this week on the show, that Coach Helton is of the passing philosophy, how quickly Georgia Southern's history has been put aside, known as a running national championship FCS program. They throw it around the yard now. And this is it's one of my pick 3 plays. I'm on Georgia Southern in this one. I went to our pick 3 site, nextroundlive.com, and we couldn't play that game there because we played the Power 4. And I couldn't pick that, had to pick a different game. But on the show, on my official pick 3, I like Georgia Southern plus the points here.
Well, Georgia Southern, though, I would say this just real quick, Brown. They were 118th against the run last year.
Yeah.
Boise State is going to come out. They're going to try to dictate tempo. They're going to try to force it down their throat. And Clay Helton does have a first-year starting quarterback. Sounds like a quarterback that would play for Duke. J.C. French.
Ooh, very debonair.
I will tell you, they went to the portal, Georgia Southern did, to try to help that defense in the run. So we'll see if that got a little better, a little gata for our friend EG there, who's on her way to Tuscaloosa.
She's on her way into this show right now. Here is Emily Grace McWhorter. Uh-oh.
Hey, guys.
Hey, EG, how are you?
Good. I hear we're talking Georgia Southern, my perfect time of arrival.
That is right. Do you have a play on this game today? Georgia Southern playing host to Boise?
I can't be unbiased, so my play is Georgia Southern. I like J.C. French, I like Durham Burgess, and I like a sold-out Paulson Stadium, and I like the heat that is in Georgia Southern.
Okay. All right, EG on the record.
What kind of atmosphere is that for a big game?
It's so much fun. It gets so loud, and it doesn't look like it should get as loud as it does because it is kind of more off of the stands go away from the field, not up. But it gets so loud. They also have tailgating spots in the end zones on both ends. They've got tents set up there for fans. And so when I would walk those sidelines as a reporter, I would not stop in those end zones because the things that would be said from the fans, you can only imagine.
Wow.
Yes. And they are literally on the field with these teams. So it gets very rowdy.
So rank them for me: Bryant Denny, Jordan Hare, and Paulson Stadium.
Georgia Southern, and then Tide.
Than everybody else, the rest of the world. Speaking of Bryant Denny, EG, that's where you're going to be today. You've been in. We'll talk with you a little bit about Alabama and Auburn because you've been at both practices, both camps. We'll talk about the game with the point spread and all in a moment. But what do you expect to see in Tuscaloosa tonight?
For sure. I think for Alabama fans, what they want to see is a very consistent game with simple execution. That's something that basically all the coaches have been preaching, is that it needs to be simple, it needs to be executed, and it needs to be done well. And I think that is with the new staff, some new player additions, and you're losing some talent. That's what needs to happen. I think for Jalen Milroe especially, he's now in full command of this team. No longer looking over his shoulder like he was last season. Granted, there is some depth in the quarterback room, but a lot of it is seeing him take that leadership role and grow even more than he has in the offseason. Fans will, I think, be treated to that in the first few snaps of this game.
You've also been down at Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and what have you seen down there in practice when you've been hanging out with the team and talking to the players?
I think with Peyton, that is the biggest question. For Auburn fans is Coach Freeze and co decided to stick with that guy. There's been a lot of belief in him. They did not go shopping in the transfer portal. And like I said, the tune on him has changed since a year ago, especially, but really going back to that bowl game of it was no secret, it is wide open. And now Coach Freeze is fully bought into Peyton. And I don't think anything has changed for Peyton. It's his environment around him. You bring in elite wide receivers, you bring in a coaching staff that fits his offensive play style better. And I think that confidence has just grown. I'm most interested in the connection that he has with the receivers. There are some young guys, and the same could be said for Jalen Miller and his receivers as well. But I think that's what I'm going to be watching for specifically at Auburn is the timing of Peyton. Does he look comfortable? How quickly can he get the ball out? What does it look like for him to be in a situation where he's having to scramble? Can he still make connection with those guys? And of course, the running back room down there is very elite with Jarquez and Damari Alston. So I think that I'm curious how much we'll see them run the ball compared to through the air as well.
All right, so you're headed to Tuscaloosa. You will be there for the night game tonight. You'll have some sights and sounds around the first half and at the half, and then post-game from the locker room with Coach DeBoer and the selected players. And then you'll also be jumping on with our guys at Cover Crimson, right? And
Yep.
doing a little post-game with them.
We will do post-game from Bryant Denny. I'll have my little post-game package out as well. I'm really excited for that. It'll give our viewers and listeners another look inside of Bryant Denny every week, which I think is really just fun for them to get to see what we see on a Saturday. And again, we'll have Taylor down in Auburn, and we'll get basically all the sights and sounds you can get on a college football Saturday in the state of Alabama, which is super fun. I'll definitely be making a point to get Coach DeBoer coming out with the team for the first time. I want to see, those younger players take the field. Just the DeBoer staff as a whole, no moment is going to be missed. Hopefully, I'm going to try and get everything I can and then see if there's any special guests around. Obviously, Nick Saban is not there, but I'm curious if Kristen will be there or anyone else of that caliber, but I will try and get everything I can for you guys. I'm so excited. It feels like Christmas morning.
EG's pumped. All right. CoverCrimson.com. CoverCrimson.com. Also the Cover Crimson YouTube channel where you'll find that post-game show. She mentioned a little T down at Auburn. TheBarnAuburn.com. So CoverCrimson.com on the Alabama side. TheBarnAuburn.com on the Auburn side. They've both got YouTube channels, social media. You can find it, and they'll have post-game shows up after the game. Tons of reaction on what happens in Tuscaloosa and down at Auburn tonight. All right, EG, have fun. I know I don't have to say that. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that's Emily Grace McWhorter, our SEC reporter. She'll be in Tuscaloosa tonight. Speaking of that game, LT, you do have a play on the total in this game. So I'll talk side with you. Alabama is a 32-point favorite. That total you have a play on 59.5 at MyBookie.ag. 6 o'clock ESPN game. Normally this would be a snoozer, but I think a lot of people nationally just want to see what this looks like.
Yeah. And, Dunaway brought this up. Somebody asked, what are you really looking for in this game? And I agree with Dunaway, just to see what the sideline looks like, to see somebody that's not Nick Saban, to see just how really Kalen DeBoer, I probably watched him as much as anyone, but how he operates in situations like this too, because, Western Kentucky, I think it is a really good opponent. I've said this before, because Tyson Helton's, his offense, they love to sling it around, and TJ Finley's an experienced quarterback, and everybody talks about the secondary. So I think it's interesting in that regard. And I also want to see, how vanilla is this Alabama offense and how many guys are actually getting to play to try to identify. Like, I think we realize, or we recognize who the two and then even the third guy is going to be running the football. What is this rotation on the perimeter really going to look like with wide receivers? I'm fascinated to see that.
Well, I want to see it just be, those three running backs focused, specifically Justice and Jam, who I thought were sort of blocked by senior leadership and the loyalty of the coaching staff last year from maybe down the road getting more carries. But also, are they better at pass pro, which probably is what kept them behind the Roydale Williams of the world. But the receivers are exciting. Caleb Adams and Ryan Williams, can't wait to see them mix in with some guys. Kendrick Law, a little shaken up. We'll see if he gets any playing time at all in this one, and we'll shake it out and react to it all on Monday. But I'm excited to see what it looks like with Kalen as the head coach and new coordinators there. Yeah,
and my believer says the same thing you guys say. Want to see those receivers. I think everybody is dying. It's the same. We'll talk about Auburn in a moment, but everybody's, I think, dying to see those Auburn receivers too, right? This is Ryan Williams. That's who people want to see. Jeremy, I don't know that people really want to see Jeremy Bernard, but you're going to see him for the first time. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. They're not, the anticipation is not as high for him as it is a guy like Ryan Williams, but that's who, Lance, I think will lead Alabama in receiving is Jeremy Bernard.
Well, you think about, the familiarity with Bernard coming, and it was already the third leading receiver for a really good Washington receiver corps last year. So I think there are people that would agree with that. He probably is your betting favorite. I mean, what is the status for Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice?
Yeah.
I'm interested, Brownie, real quick. I want to see the defense from Kane Womack. If I was making a projection on Monday when we do our show live on Labor Day, I'm expecting the reaction to be lukewarm for Kane Womack's style of playing defense. It's going to be a transition, I believe, with 17 years of being used to one style of defense, and schematically, Kane's going to attack it differently. Doesn't mean he can't win. Doesn't mean he won't be effective. It'll be just different. And if Roman, as he's told us a couple of times, if there's a lot more zone, a lot less pressing at the line of scrimmage on the receivers, open short throws, make a good tackle in the open field, get up, give him a 2-yard gain, get up and play it again. That's going to look a little different than what you've seen in the past. So I want to see how different it looks and how fans react to it.
So Michael says Kendrick Law is banged up. Didn't know that. Bummer. That has just been the circulating rumor from Alabama camp. So
who knows?
That's all we're saying is keep an eye and see how available Kendrick Law is.
That's right.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that. All right. Johnston RV Center bringing you the show. JohnstonRVCenter.com. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. 3 more games we're going to get to here. Lance, you've got to play on this one. Notre Dame and Texas A&M, the big primetime game. Game day behind me right here in College Station. Good crowd they've got there. They don't play until later on tonight, though, 6:30 ABC. Texas A&M now a 3-point favorite at MyBookie.ag. A total of 46.5 for Mike Elko's debut in College Station.
I saw Elko on the set with the game day guys earlier. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did.
He gives no F's, man. He's a fun dude. He's just got that massive stomach, and he's got one of those like t-shirt hoodies on. Who's got the better quarterback? I would ask you guys this. They were both abbreviated seasons last year. You know, Riley Leonard got hurt in game 5. Connor Wegman got hurt in game 4. You know, a lot of people don't realize that Connor was leading the FBS and QBR through 3 games, and Riley Leonard had Duke 4-0. So, you know, I do think that that's kind of important, that I think both quarterbacks have a ton of upside and potential. Who is the better quarterback in this matchup?
I think it's Connor Wegman. I think Wegman is, and that's hard for me to say, but when it comes to being a better thrower and probably better at what he'll be asked to do, I think it's Connor Wegman. And it'll be interesting to see what Riley Leonard does with a different style. And, you know, back to Elko, you're right. His T-shirt untucked, long sleeve, about mid-thigh, which really I think accentuates, as a guy who deals with this, a big belly, I think that accentuates the size of his belly. I think he's gained 18 to 25 pounds since leaving
Texas barbecue,
Durham
baby.
and going to College Station. I think he's a heck of a football coach. Nick Saban gave him a lot of love, but that long sleeve, long T-shirt, mid-thigh untucked is not what you want for when you're a big boy in the belly. You want to make it a little tighter fit. You want it to end around the belt buckle. You don't want to extend that stomach as much. You want to tighten it up a bit.
Matt, Lance, you love knowing what the public thinks. So here's some public reaction to this game. Matt, A&M is going to struggle to move the ball. Notre Dame had a top 10 defense last year. PFF ranks their defensive line and secondary in the top 6 this year. That's Pro Football Focus. They rank players on the collegiate level as well. Your thoughts on that?
Look, I think, by the way, I think both coaches, great defensive minds, in Marcus Freeman and Mike Elko. You know, a bigger question for me, look, and I don't disagree. I think Notre Dame's going to have a tremendous defense. I think A&M's defense is going to be much better than advertised now that Elko takes this over. Bigger question for me, though, is this Notre Dame offensive line. You know, I mean, when you're really replacing the majority of that offensive line, the best offensive lineman in all of football last year in Joe Alt, his replacement is lost for the year already in fall camp. I just don't know how good this offensive line is going to be this early. In-helmet communication, this is one of those games. Circle it. If you're seeing Riley Leonard do this, if you're seeing some quick timeouts with the clock running down, I think Kyle Field, I think this crowd could be a factor.
Yeah, me too. Especially when you got 3 offensive linemen who are sophomores, 2 that are freshmen, no experience there at all, and you're going into a place that'll be largest crowd in Kyle Field history. I'm already projecting it. They had a great crowd last night for the midnight yell. They were up in masses this morning for game day. They'll get a nap in after a little beef brisket this afternoon, I'm sure, and then roll out there and be the 12th man. That place is loud. I've been there a couple of times when it has been a stadium shaker. It's one of those stadiums that shake, both the first one and the remodeled one. So much so they have a warning in the press box, warning signs everywhere. If you get motion sick, if you are susceptible, whatever it is, if you
Susceptible.
get motion sick, the sign says, please see media relations. They will find you a seat in the stands and let you find a place to sit outside because it moves that much in the press box.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not the worst hangover you've ever had in College Station? So how does that work when you're that hungover and you have to go into that type of atmosphere?
I listened to the game. I did not watch it. I had my back to the field. I had a television monitor to my right. I looked down most of the time, listened to Eli Gold at the time on the play-by-play call with our buddy John Parker Wilson. And when there was 8 minutes to go in the game, I grabbed 2 hot dog buns, no weenies, walking past the table, ate the bread and the elevator ride down, tried to pray that it did not smell like bourbon from the night before, and did the Nick Saban show on the field. So didn't see the game, just asked four basic questions.
And you basically, so you just ate the buns just to soak up the alcohol, I guess?
Yep. Just to give me a little energy to get through it carved up so I could get through we taped it in about 15 minutes, the Nick Saban show. Shook his hand, did that, boom, 88 and out the gate. Thank God it didn't fly until the next day.
So how long did you go between that last drink early Saturday morning to having another drink again?
I think I was going to bed at 10 o'clock. And John Parker Wilson and Rashad Johnson said, no, you're going out with us. And I'm like, I'm too old to go out with you. I said, if I had a hat, I'd go. Because, I always feel like the hat is it's like my Superman cape. It
makes you younger.
15 years younger. Yeah. So if I had a hat, John Parker said, we'll find you a hat. So we go walking, and it's all Texas A&M gears. We're walking to this bar. And so I started asking people, can I buy your hat? And a lot of no's. And this one guy was a non-A&M hat. It was his work hat. He was like a lumberyard guy, and they give him company hats. Things smelled to high heaven after I bought it. I said, can I buy your hat for $20? He's like, no. I said, can I buy your hat for $40? He goes, this hat? And I said, yeah. He goes, absolutely. I said, John Parker, give him 2 20s.
Did JP pay?
John Parker peeled off 2 20s. I put that sweaty ass hat on, went into this bar, long necks, flaming Dr. Pepper shots, vodka.
So
we'd already been drinking bourbon and wine.
Where's the hat now?
Well. It was not good. Probably got home about 3. Woke up when Maggie called me about 6:30. I was fine, but I was on top of the sheets. The air conditioning was like in the 60s, and it felt like an 88 in there. I started throwing up when game day came on at 8 o'clock, and that's when I called Jeff Allen. By the way, Jeff Allen, great story up from Emily Grace McWhorter on our platform, and he sent up a student aid and an IV and got me working for the game.
Okay, so where's the hat now?
Oh, I left it in College Station. It smelled.
It smelled like bought it. It didn't matter, right?
It smelled like I was dating a cowboy.
Brokeback Saturdays.
Yep.
All right, a couple more games. Reminder, JohnstonRVCenter.com brings you the show. Also, Champy's world famous fried chicken, Dunaway.
Yeah, champyschicken.com. If you're not hungover today and you want some great food, Highway 119 in Alabaster, get it to go. But also for your tailgates, plan ahead. If you're not heading to Bryant, Denny, or Jordan here today, plan ahead and get that ready to go. But if you are, you can still get the food when they open up and head over to the night games, either place, champyschicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Sterling and his crew has been there for over 10 years in that one location. It's iconic. It is a destination lunch place. Go check it out, champyschicken.com.
All right, let's go to Alabama A&M at Auburn. Auburn, a massive favorite in this game. I saw this morning on MyBookie.ag, Lance, and I'm always fascinated when the total and the point spread are this close. Tells you one team's going to score a lot, one team's not.
Yeah, give me that total and that because you breezed by it yesterday, and I wanted to make a point on this.
Okay, Auburn is 47.5. That is the number at MyBookie.ag, and the total is only 56.5. So the total is only 9 points more than the actual point spread. 630 ESPN Plus. That is a massive number in this game.
Yeah. So really, I'm just doing quick math. Auburn 53-3. Auburn covers and it goes under. I mean, they can't give up more than 3.
Yeah. So you would say
I think Auburn and under.
Auburn and under, yeah.
Yeah.
Dunaway, you want it over. Now you're on a heater, Jim.
Just for your math, I thought you were saying over.
No, I would say this. I think Auburn is going to pitch a shutout. I think we've already seen like 4 or 5 shutouts early on. So I think it's about a couple of things for you, Freeze. Getting reps for those young receivers, building a little rapport between Peyton Thorne and a couple of the transfer guys and those young receivers, and putting confidence back in this defense. And I think the best way to put confidence in the defense, pitch a shutout. And I think they've got an opportunity here.
Yeah, but getting reps for the young guys means I'm going to keep throwing it even if I'm up 4 touchdowns, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's where it'd be hard to play a total on this one, because I don't know how much they're going to keep working on these young receivers to give them some experience, or then you bring in a backup quarterback and keep them throwing to work with them. So I don't know.
I'm just saying, I've got a feeling that Auburn is going to flirt with a shutout.
Okay. Flirt with a shutout. But, I mean, everybody wants to see these receivers, right? That's why you're paying the money. That's why you're getting in the car and driving down 280 or up 65 or wherever you're coming from in the great state of Alabama or our neighbors in Georgia or Mississippi or wherever. You're coming to see these receivers. I mean, that's what Auburn fans are going to go to Jordan-Hare to see today, right? And I am interested who the big story, if there is a singular story of a receiver coming out of this game, who it is. My gut tells me, Dunaway, it's Perry Thompson. That's just a gut. I mean, that's not based on anything. I'm just like gut feeling. I think Perry Thompson has the big game today.
He's the receiver that's been there the longest. I think it's going to be Peyton Thorne. I think Auburn fans who have questioned him since the end of the Music City Bowl, when it's over with, they're going to say, I'm glad Hugh stuck with him. Look what he can do when he's got quality people around. I could see him having a clean sheet today. No interceptions, nice little 11 for 11, 11 for 12. 3 touchdowns and get out. Much like Jackson Arnold. I mean, Jackson Arnold looked darn good last night for Oklahoma. I could see Peyton Thorne having that type game.
I could see it, but at the same time, I could see this be a DJU situation. Like, we kind of know who Peyton Thorne is. I don't think he's had, maybe the weapons that DJU has had. Now he's got those weapons, or at least we perceive that he's got those weapons. I don't know. I mean, this is all on Hugh Freeze. Hugh is calling the plays now. He has stuck with his quarterback. So, Auburn fans, it better work.
All right. TheBarnAuburn.com for post-game reaction. The Barn Auburn on YouTube as well. TheBarnAuburn.com is where you go. Sign up for as little as $1 for that, and CoverCrimson.com. By the way, both those sites with the 2 home games, recruiting news on maybe some surprise visitors, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. People that are expected to be at the game visitor-wise today, maybe even some surprises at both those sites. Again, sign up for as little as $1, and then see what you like. And tons of premium content there at TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com.
And if it's easier for you, if you already follow me, I retweeted both of those stories about the recruits today. So if you already follow me, go there and you can get an easy click it through to both of those sites. And then when you get there, like and follow and sign up.
All right, that's it for today's games. I did want to touch on tomorrow's game, though. And, Lance, you may or may not have a play here at lanceslock.com. I don't know how far ahead you've looked, but LSU down to a 4-point favorite this morning at MyBookie.ag. 64.5 is the total. That's, I think, the highest total on the board this entire first week.
I'll say this, though. If these two would have played last November, this total might have been in the low 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating. I just don't think either one of these defenses would have been able to stop either one of those offenses. I think it will be a little bit different this year. Dan Lynn coming in, taking over this Trojan defense, Blake Baker taking over LSU's defense. It might take a little bit for them to, it might be one of these situations where that unit gets better and better each and every week. I'm fascinated to see these quarterbacks that have hung around for so long, and Garrett Nussmeier and Miller Moss, now that it is their teams. This is going to be a fun game. I am really surprised the number has dropped. I thought it would go the other way.
Can I just say 2 signs on game day real quick before I forget them?
Yeah.
One co-ed said, I made this sign last night like Marcus Freeman did his playbook. Pretty good one there.
That is
good.
The
best one, oh God, I should have started with this one because now I may have forgotten it. I'll have to come back to it. Good, I forgot it. It was the better one.
The show's over. We'll have to visit that on Monday.
I'll have to rewind it. It was so good. It was such a good sign, and it was fantastic. On this game, LT, I agree with you. Last year, the scoreboard in Vegas wouldn't have been enough for it. Both these guys replacing Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. So quarterback play is going to be down for both teams, relatively speaking. Just who can get the closest back to which can get the closest to the Heisman standard. And the receiver, you got the kid from UTSA, right? Zachariah Branch is back for USC. He's a good guy in space. I can't name any receivers at LSU. They're going to be new guys. And but I like that LSU offensive line. I like Harold Perkins free to eat now. But something tells me this USC team is going to surprise a lot of folks. I keep reading they're a little bit more blue collar than they were last year. They cut out a little of the NIL fat and they got a little bit more blue collar. So I'm thinking LSU probably wins it, but I think it's going to be a more impressive effort from USC than we saw a lot of times last year.
Well, look, I know Lincoln Riley did not want to get rid of his really good friend Alex Grinch, but now you bring in a defense coordinator that had one of the best defenses in college football in UCLA last year. A lot of people don't realize this, but it's as simple as this, man. USC missed 141 tackles last year. They almost missed 10 tackles per game. Like, you can't win football games with that. So I do think the defense is going to be much better. When you talk about the quarterbacks, Nussmeier has more experience than Miller Moss, but I have never seen bad quarterback play under Lincoln Riley. I just haven't.
I heard the knock on wood off camera, but I heard the knock on wood. All right. You can get all those plays, Lance'sLock.com. Post game.
13 today. 10
13
sides, 3 totals, coming off a 3-0 last night, 5 consecutive winning nights. Lance'sLock.com. Jump on board. Win with us today. So excited about today. 11 o'clock play.
11 o'clock. That shows you how much he likes it if it's an 11 o'clock play. Post game, Alabama, covercrimson.com. Clint, Stacy, E.G. from over in Tuscaloosa. Post game, Auburn, thebarnauburn.com. Those YouTube channels are up and kicking. Make sure you subscribe there and set your alerts so you know when they're live, just like you do with us on the next round. Johnston RV Center is bringing you the show. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Travel trailers as low as $14,995 through today. Fifth wheels as low as $379 a month. JohnstonRVCenter.com. And great tailgating right there at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, Dunaway.
That's right. I'm off to an 0-7 start at my gambling board, but my biggest play of the day is Northwestern. 15,000 fans sold out. They made that stadium look pretty soccer-esque. Mike Wright, starting quarterback. He's been a starter at Vandy, Mississippi State. Now he will start at Northwestern. I like them to cover there. Northwestern's my big play. Champy's your big play for food. Champy'sChicken.com, right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster. Get the 2 big breasts, all the sides, and a wonderful dessert menu, too. Don't skip on that.
All right, please give us a thumbs up.
I got to play on that game as well, Dunaway. I got to play on that game as well.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I didn't
for him
even
to
bring
say
it up.
that means he's on Miami, Ohio.
Little did I know. I'm not going to tip Lance's hand here. Little did I know that 230 Big Ten Network, Miami, Ohio, at 15,000-seat temporary stadium in Northwestern would generate any conversation on this show. I would have brought it up.
I'll go steak right now. I'll take Northwestern straight up.
You're -3.5, my friend.
I'll take I'll take Northwestern and give you the points in.
Sounds good.
All right. Steak bet. Steak bet. Thank you, New York Butcher Shop. We'll revisit that steak bet on Monday. Write it down, Dunaway, so we remember. We got to bring it back.
I'll write it down.
Yep. All right, give us a thumbs up, please. Make sure you've subscribed to our YouTube channel, Next Round Live. Set your alerts so you know when we're live. TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com for postgame. What did you remember?
I just remembered the sign.
Yeah.
It was a monkey in a Texas A&M jersey. A monkey. Now follow me here.
Okay.
A monkey in a Texas A&M jersey holding a stick with a banner on it that says AP Pole Assassin. That was a good sign.
that is good. I like that.
Already getting ready for November 30th.
Yep.
That's really good. All right, you guys enjoy College Football Saturday. Remember, we're back live Monday, as always, on Labor Day. Postgame, TheBarnAuburn.com and CoverCrimson.com. Enjoy your College Football Saturday. Thanks for joining us on the College Football Preview, presented by JohnstonRVCenter.com and Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken.